Did you think that they were entertaining radio segments, Carl's weekly spots?
Yeah, I mean, like he provides. I think Carl is a good color broadcaster in that not um, he is not afraid to be critical of the Giants when you're listening to. It was one of the first things that struck me when I got up here and I listened to it. And as somebody who played, and I've worked with a lot of hosts or air talent who played. They do provide insight that nobody else can provide. It's on us to make the spot entertaining. That's on us to put him in the correct position, to have him be able to deliver the sort of information that becomes insightful. For entertaining is a weird word, but like at least insightful for the listener. I think you could probably say that we probably weren't good enough at that, at a certain point, in putting him in the right spot. I mentioned that earlier, and just in terms of knowing what every piece that you have is valuable. So, Casillas started coming on with us. He does a great job, and I'm confident Brandon and Sal can figure it out without that spot. But yeah, I thought it was good.
Yeah, I think I even mentioned that in some of the articles that we wrote about it, was the fact that I always felt that Carl was really good on game day. I thought he was
Yes.
an excellent analyst because he is willing to be critical during the game. To be fair, I have not listened to him on the midday show in a while, but when I used to listen every single week when he was with Joe and Evan,
Mm-hmm.
it usually sounded like he was reluctant to be critical when he was on doing those weekly spots.
I think one of the things that's probably true. One of the things that is difficult when you're in that position is when you're doing the game broadcast, and largely everyone around you is like sort of positive. It's much easier for you to be a dissenting view because there's balance there. But if he comes on after a loss and Brandon and Sal are obliterating the Giants for 2.5 days for the game that they lost, it's one thing to say it's contrarian, but I think that there's like I'm not saying that he's contrarian, but I'm saying like, all right, he probably hears 2 days of this and he's like, well, they're too negative now.
Yeah.
And they've gone too far. So I need to provide the other side of this, which I find myself doing just on the podcast when people sort of go too far one way, even if I don't necessarily believe that a thing is good, it's not as bad as they say. And I think that probably happens sometimes too. But that's this weird thing with sports radio, which is largely opinion and sort of opinion pushed to its extremes, and then what Carl does for a job, which is not largely opinion, it's largely analysis. And I think that there's just a different context to what he's doing during the game to then what he was doing with us.